Welcome to ESPN College Basketball and the Saturday Showcase presented by 5-Hour Energy. It's the ACC on ESPN, and this afternoon from College Park, Maryland, it's the Terrapins against the 6th-ranked Tar Heels of North Carolina. Florida State, with a huge win over Virginia this afternoon, has taken at least a temporary lead in the ACC. The Seminoles have gone to 7-1. Maryland right now 3-4 in the middle of the pack. Good afternoon, everybody. Mike Patrick, Len Elmore. It's great to have you with us. Since that embarrassing loss against FSU, North Carolina has responded beautifully. They are playing like the team that everybody picked preseason #1.
Well, when you look at this game, you've got Duke looming in a meeting in Chapel Hill with Carolina this Wednesday. You got Florida State now atop the standings, and Carolina's got to catch up. This has all the makings of a trap game. A team on paper that has no chance of winning, and they've got the leading scorer in the conference. It'll be interesting.
All right, who's your one-on-one?
Well, speaking of interesting, you got a Carolina team that plays outstanding defense without fouling, and you got a Maryland team that relies on free throws. A third of their points come from free throws, and when you take really a deeper look, they've shot more free throws in conference games than any team in the ACC.
Take a look at the starting lineups first for the Tar Heels. It's that huge front line that's really worrisome to Maryland. Reggie Bullock has moved into the starting lineup since the injury to Dexter Strickland. For the Terps, basically 3 guards, with Stokeland the leading scorer in the Atlantic Coast Conference. And Henson may have tipped this one on the way up. No, they're going to say it's a re-jump. Henson and Pankey, and North Carolina controls.
One of the things to watch for, Mike, Harrison Barnes been bothered by a tricky knee, to see if he's 100% out here.
Henson with a jump hook to start the ball game. Keyshawn Howard gives it up to Stokeland, and he is liable to launch from anywhere.
Yeah, and you mentioned it, Maryland going with a 3-guard offense. And talking to Mark Turgeon today, he said they're just going to do what they do, which is to rely on those 3 guards for a bulk of the offense.
Sean Mosley. He's been slumping a little bit shooting in his last 5 games, but he is a 40% long-range shooter. And he starts off the Terps with a 3. Here's Barnes, baseline. Fouled by Mosley. Here's Mark Turgeon. This is old home week for him because he was an assistant under Roy Williams at Kansas. Left Texas A&M to come here. Roy Williams, of course, has done such a brilliant job at North Carolina and has really got this team rolling now.
Well, expect Maryland to try to keep Carolina in pretty much a half-court game. And to do that, they've got to rebound. And as Mark Turgeon told us, he's only going to send 3 guys to the boards offensively, and make sure they have at least 2 guys back, maybe 3 guys back.
1 out of 2, and if Sean Mosley has to guard Harrison Barnes, this can be a tough matchup. Keyshawn Howard tries a long bounce pass and throws it out of bounds. And there they are, Steve Robinson on the right. They had all coached at Kansas. And Mark Stokeland says he's taken a lot of really good advice from Roy Williams over the years.
And I guess all 3 of them want to get this one over so they can watch Kansas play Missouri tonight in a key Big 12 matchup.
Zeller, who has really been on fire, gets a bucket. His last 5 games, he's averaged almost 17 points and better than 12 rebounds a game. Terps get it inside, and they'll get an interior bucket. How many of those will they be able to produce today as Padgett gets a layup?
Well, again, it's very important because Carolina relies so much on the transition game to try to keep them in the half court. But if Tyler Zeller is going to get looks like that, if Carolina is going to be able to feed their bigs like that in the half court without any obstacle whatsoever, Terps are in for a long afternoon.
Yeah, he's going to make most of those, isn't he?
Certainly is. Again, when you're playing a team that blocks as many shots as Carolina, you've got to utilize a pump fake. get them off their feet and then power up strong as Padgett did there.
Padgett down the lane, forced it up, no. And Zeller with a rebound.
See, that time Padgett didn't come to a stop and utilize the pump fake. Wound up getting it blocked.
Zeller on the feed from Marshall. Haven't stopped him yet defensively.
And he's made the same move all 3 times. Little spin to the right, utilizing that little right-hand jump hook.
May make it the next 3, Lynn. 7-5 Heels early. Stogler. Well, he is something else. If you haven't watched him play, this kid has really blossomed since last year.
And in a half-court game, that may be the Carolina Achilles heel. Going after their guards. Thin at guard right now. With Dexter Strickland's injury, Leslie McDonald hasn't played all year.
That one's tipped out of bounds. Thought it was last touched by Maryland, but they're going to say it was touched by the Heels.
Well, the leading scorer in the ACC, 22 points a game. And Terrell Stoglin knows how to get his shot off as he wends his way through the bigs and finds a way to get the ball up to the rim.
He's the 3rd leading long-range shooter in the conference, and Mosley had it taken away by Barnes, and Barnes on the break, hence an offensive rebound, knocked away by Stoglin. Terps get a break there. Stoglin reached in and got all ball.
Well, I'll tell you what, though. After the turnover, Mosley does a nice job of stepping up and taking away the drive from Harrison Barnes, forcing him to shoot that shot, although right here on the inbounds they score. But he forced him to take one of those difficult mid-range shots and wound up missing it and giving Carolina another chance at it.
Bullock with an easy basket off the inbounds pass. Mosley gives it up to Stoglin. Bullock is a really good defensive player. He's been the defensive player of the game for the Heels several times this year. Zeller clears the miss. Marshall trying to penetrate. Got his defender up in the air, makes the basket and draws the foul on Keyshawn Howard. Heels off to a snappy start. They're up 11-7 at Maryland. We're in College Park, Maryland, at the Comcast Center, where the Terps are trailing by 4 against North Carolina. Tonight at 9 Eastern, ESPN with a Big 12 showdown. 2 of the top-ranked teams in the nation, Kansas and Missouri. Our coverage starts at 8 Eastern. College Game Day covered by State Farm. That's tonight on ESPN. North Carolina has made 5 of its first 7 shots. Tyler Zeller has had 3 and he's made all of them.
Yeah, and he's been a recipient of some nifty passes by Kendall Marshall, who just has a knack of finding people.
Marshall goes to the line, 68.4% on the year. He's number 1 in the conference in assists. He is number 1 in the conference in assist to turnover ratio. He already has 4 assists in this game. We've only played 4 minutes.
Entering North Carolina, number 15, E.J. Hairston.
P.J. Hairston has checked in for the first time. Good head fake. Gets Hairston off his feet and draws a foul. That's number 1 on the freshman from Greensboro, North Carolina.
And that's a good example of Maryland trying to attack the guards for Carolina. You take a look at this series history.
Well, you can't say many teams have beaten North Carolina 3 straight games at home.
I can.
That was not at the Comcast Center.
No, true.
That was at Cole Fieldhouse, that beautiful old barn of a building. Alex Len checks in for the first time. So Maryland has done an exceptional job the last 3 times they've played at home. The Tar Heels dominate the overall series.
Oh, there's no question. You know, you take a look, though, at the last 3 games that Carolina's lost here. Gravis Vasquez played a huge role.
He was an exceptional player. Zeller backing in against Len. Good defense by the freshman.
Yeah, he held his ground and forced Zeller to kind of shoot it from behind the basket and extended those long arms.
He likes to back guys down. Padgett steps through. No. Not going to get many offensive rebounds against this crew. Henson cleared that one.
Now, they're the tallest team in the country, with Kentucky second. And you look at that front line when Zeller and Henson in particular extend, you can barely see the rim.
Alex Len, the freshman over out of the Ukraine, forces another turnover with good defense. He certainly got the body to have an impact at 7'1", 225, and he moves pretty well for a kid that size.
Yeah, he's got the length, but this being his first experience on this level against a team of this caliber. And, you know, when they played Duke, again, Mark Turgeon was worried he's a little bit nervous. And the hope is, obviously, he shakes the jitters right now and plays the game.
Stoglin got by Bullock, but then had it blocked as he tried to put it up underneath. Bullock, outstanding long-range shooter, buries that jumper.
Yeah, Bullock almost 40% from beyond the arc. You got to account for him in any type of transition situation when Carolina's on the offense.
He's a really important cog in this team, I think. At 6'7", he can defend a guy like Stoglin. He can, in terms of speed, he can stay with him. Padgett trying to back him down. Put it up. Len kept it alive. But saved by Zeller. Then he has it knocked away, and Maryland has the basketball. Nick Faust. And that's what they want Faust to do. They want him to drive to the basket rather than settle for jump shots.
And when you look at Maryland as a team, as a unit, that's exactly what they want him to do. They need Maryland to scrap. There's no way that they're going to be able to contend with the size and the talent of Carolina without scrapping, going after loose balls, trying to tip them away. Any 50-50 situation, Maryland has to command the possessions.
Faust in and out. Of course, we told you about Strickland, the junior out of Rahway, New Jersey. He was injured, but he's got company on the bench, too. There are the numbers on Strickland.
And again, we talked about Carolina being a little thin at guard, but they've got some combo guys. Harrison Barnes being one of them. You mentioned Reggie Bullock, another. They've got guys who are normally small forwards that can swing into that number 2 position.
Leslie McDonald was the other player we showed you. He had a serious knee injury before the season started. Len with a block. And North Carolina, the bench came up as one. They thought they had goaltending there, and then Howard hits a 3. Terps close within 3 points. Henson. Len got a hand on it, loose ball, and the Terps right now out-hustling North Carolina. Faust, 1-on-4, pulls up for a 3. Ill-advised at best.
Well, they were definitely scrapping, as we mentioned, but also going with the scrap. You got to have a little basketball IQ.
McAdoo. Ball's knocked out of bounds. Maryland's trying to be real tough inside, Len.
Well, Alex Len with the shot block right there. And it was questionable. It might have been on the way down, but no call. And obviously, Keyshawn Howard makes Carolina pay. But again, we talked about getting on the ground, scrapping, knocking balls loose.
McAdoo missed everything. Offensive rebound. Henson with a miss. And Len forced him to alter that shot. The Maryland Terrapins giving North Carolina everything they can handle and then some. That was Baron Weiss on the run. Stoglin's going to come back in for the Terps. And this is exactly what this crowd wanted to see. A lot of fight in this ball club. Weiss had a tough year at the line in few opportunities, only 6 out of 16. Make it 6 out of 17. He's approaching the 33% mark.
And you can see it's in his head right now.
Stillman White. They want to get him some minutes as the backup point guard, the freshman from Wilmington, North Carolina. They've got to have him on when Marshall needs a blow. Weiss got lucky there. This is White. We saw him hit a three-pointer the other night.
Yeah, but this obviously points up how thin, particularly at the point guard, Carolina is.
Boy, hats off to Alex Len. He has made a difference here. Stogler with a great pass to Faust. Maryland on a 6-0 run. How about this, Len?
Well, you got to ask that man, how about this? Not very happy. And there's our colleague Scott Van Pelt, Maryland alum, liking what he sees. But right now, again, Maryland's playing scrappy basketball. You look at them spread the floor now and going at the weakness. I talked about the Achilles heel at guard for Carolina. They're starting to attack where they need to.
Stillman White commits the foul. We are tied at 15. Welcome back to College Park, and Maryland running at number 6 North Carolina. They have tied it at 15.
Well, even though Maryland's at a talent deficit when compared to Carolina, there's no back down as they continue to scrap, led by Alex Len, who's using his length to make a difference right here and really bothering Carolina. Weiss there as well and getting a loose ball. And we talked about this being a trap game, a road game against a team that has no chance on paper of beating them. Roy Williams is not allowing his team to fall into that trap. At least right now, he's reminding them, hey, this is ACC basketball. Anything can happen.
Players don't think about that stuff. They don't think trap game. Coaches do.
Oh, no question about it.
Because they've seen it before and they've got caught in that trap before.
And it's the reason why we talk about being a trap game. Wednesday, the showdown with Duke in Chapel Hill. You can't be thinking ahead if you're Carolina. You got to focus on the here and now. Plus, you got to remember, Florida State now leads the ACC by a half game with their win over Virginia today.
And they've got the tiebreaker on both North Carolina and Duke. Faust, the 6'6 freshman out of Baltimore, averages 7.2 points a game. He came in as one of the top shooting guards in the country out of high school, but has not shot well here in his freshman season. This is an 8-0 run, and Harrison Barnes on the lob backdoor from Marshall.
And that's what they call a silencer right there.
And nicely set up coming out of the timeout. Len stays on the court. He has been tremendously effective.
Look at the spacing by Maryland. Again, hoping to be able to exploit their guards and their ability to put the ball in the basket against the Carolina guards.
Faust with a tough drive.
And look at the scrappiness right there.
And it's going to be on Faust.
Again, you look at Carolina's upcoming schedule. This right here, that's the game that they're looking at. But they should be focused on this one right now. And I got a feeling Roy Williams in that last timeout got their attention.
You can be sure of that one. 11:14 to go first half. Starters back on the court for North Carolina. Marshall, who they basically leave alone outside until he hits a couple of shots. Only then will they go out on him. This is Stogler.
And for all
the hedge.
And for all Marshall's tremendous gifts, that's his weakness right there as a point guard.
Len trying to get Zeller up in the air, and Zeller caught him on the arm. That'll be one on Zeller. Sunday, ESPNU, your home for ACC basketball. The Miami Hurricanes visit Seth Curry and the Blue Devils. ACC Sunday Night Basketball presented by Reese's Peanut Butter Cups at a special time, 3 Eastern on ESPNU, ESPN3. Len goes to the line. The freshman missed the first 10 games of the year because of eligibility issues. with his amateur team abroad. But this kid, Mark Turgeon said he's been nervous in some ACC games. He's not playing nervous today. It's both free throws. How about this? Terps on top, 19-17. And that changes with a Harrison Barnes three.
And you talk about a guy that's got to lead Carolina out of their wilderness right now. It's Harrison Barnes, who in the last couple of possessions now demonstrated his ability both around the rim as well as beyond the arc.
Stoglin guarded by Bullock. Weiss gets him a screen. Len, mid-range jump shot, and he got the bounce. Maybe seeing the emergence of a star this afternoon. Trying to front Zeller. Boy, and they're really playing hard. And Len ended up with his arm wrapped around Tyler Zeller, and he picks up the personal.
Well, you take a look right now, battling inside, trying to push Zeller off that block. Look how high he's pushed him up. Now, if Len had recognized that he got him that high, he wouldn't have grabbed. But this is the guys I mentioned that can lead Carolina out of the wilderness. Harrison Barnes, a lot of people picked him to be player of the year nationally. And he's had a pretty good season thus far, averaging about 17 a game.
There's a turnover on Marshall, and then Bullock forced to commit a foul to prevent the fast break. Maryland has gotten to virtually every loose ball, Len.
Well, that's what they have to do. We mentioned it. It's all about the scrappiness. Can't match them in talent. You got to out-hustle them.
5 North Carolina turnovers here in the first half. Very rare for them. Mosley back in the ball game. Stoglin, who's really good one-on-one, having a lot of trouble with Bullock. Got about a 5-inch height advantage on him. Mosley with a pull-up 16-footer. No. Offensive rebound. Stoglin, what a shot! And credit Padgett for keeping that alive. And then here's a steal by Howard on a bad pass by Marshall.
We give James Padgett a lot of credit. He's the second leading offensive rebounder in the conference, averaging about almost 3 per game, almost 4 per game.
Howard with a miss. Padgett tried to swipe another one. That is not Keyshawn Howard's strength.
And the sleight of hand. Stoglin, the magician right here. Now you see it, now you don't, and there it comes again.
Last foul was on Pankey, only the 5th team foul against Maryland, so a non-shooting foul.
And here's where Maryland gets into tremendous problems with Stoglin on the bench. You wonder where the points are coming from.
Exactly. Bullock, nice. You've got to come out on Bullock because he's going to make the three, and that makes him a better driver.
Yeah, Reggie Bullock's so adept at taking what the defense gives him, letting the game come to him.
Faust back in the ball game. And as Len said, where do you find the offense here? Howard, who leads his club in assists after he missed the first few games of the season. Faust down the lane, and he got it. And a bad pass again by Marshall. Len, where are the North Carolina shot blockers? The guys that defend the paint and reject those shots. They have not done the job so far. 25-22, Maryland over North Carolina. Len, here's inside the play.
Well, right now, you got Tyler Zeller. He's outside of the play. You got John Henson, who's got to guard this man here, but he's also got to step up and help. And he's in pretty much in no man's land. And you see Faust just goes right by Henson, as Henson can't make up his mind who to guard. His man is streaking to the basket or the ball handler.
One of the big factors in this game, North Carolina has turned it over 7 times Maryland has turned it over only once, but again, penetration by the Terps.
And the key to the possessions without Stoglin on the floor is Maryland is milking that shot clock. In other words, they're shortening the game and making the most of their possessions without Stoglin on the floor, since he accounts for almost a third of their points on average.
Maryland as a team, as Len pointed out earlier, is a ball club that relies on free throws. This is the old Duke stat. They have made more free throws than the other team has attempted this year. They are 9 out of 11 in this game.
But just think about this. They're 10th in the conference in free throw percentage at 65%. Can you imagine if they hit a more respectable number?
The lead, the biggest of the game. It's 5. Zeller against Pankey. Missed the shot, but a foul on Pankey. That'll be 2 on the redshirt freshman out of the Bronx. Tonight at 9 Eastern, ESPN with the Big 12 showdown. You'll see 2 of the top teams in the country, Kansas and Missouri. It starts at 8 Eastern with College Game Day covered by State Farm. That's tonight on ESPN.
And as I always say, the biggest mistake big guys make in guarding is reaching, because you're not going to get the benefit of the doubt. You know, you either have your arms extended above your head or extended out and playing defense. Once you start reaching in, more times than not, you're going to get a call.
Pankey is out. Len comes back in. Bullock will come out for North Carolina, and P.J. Hairston checks back in. Zeller, an excellent free throw shooter. Part of his game, just like every other part of his game, outstanding. 27 to 24.
Again, look at Maryland utilizing motion offense, working the clock down.
Len against Zeller. Holy cow! Inside and stepping out. Now we go back the other side, and Zeller forced it up between 3 defenders and got it.
But he got tremendous position on Len. Len makes the jumper. Zeller races down the floor and gets right underneath the basket in a place where there's no way that you can guard him.
I don't know that any big guy runs the court any better than Zeller. Michael Parker tried to get inside, lost the ball, got it back, and now Faust forced it up from outside. That was a poor shot, but another loose ball recovery for Maryland. Len tries to keep it alive. Here come the Heels on the run. 4-on-1. Hairston for 3 from the wing. Zeller offensive rebound. Len clears. Parker tries to make the tough pass instead of the easy play and throws it away.
Well, again, Alex Len making his presence felt. You take a look here. Mark Turgeon characterized some of his play as being nervous. Look at the follow through and the rotation on that jump shot. Now on the other end, you saw Zeller race down the floor. That's the one thing Len is going to have in the back of his mind. You take a shot, you got to get back on defense.
Maryland by 3. Henson had it blocked. Alex Len made a difference. Faust. Oh, that could have easily been a foul. He was bodied. Marshall back the other way. Hairston inside to McAdoo. Nice turnaround jump shot by McAdoo. Maryland with a 1-point advantage as we approach 5:20.
Terrell Stoglin, plenty of rest right now as he goes to the basket.
Double clutch, missed it. Len kept it alive but knocked it out of bounds. Stoglin offensively has not been much of a factor so far, but his teammates have really helped him out.
Yeah, they've given him a lift. And we look at this score, Maryland with a 1-point advantage. And we give them all the credit in the world for scrapping it out, for getting unexpected play from different guys. But you wonder how long can they keep this up? considering the depth of Carolina and certainly their talent.
Marshall, nice dish, but it results in a foul. Can be on Mosley, 2 on the senior from Baltimore.
Yeah, Maryland's been able to force 4 lead changes, 5 ties, and really stay with Carolina. But when you look down the road and the number of players that Carolina puts out there on the floor, you wonder if Maryland's not going to get worn down eventually.
Glenn, that's the first point this afternoon for John Henson, who averages over 14. And it comes to the free throw line, where he's not very good at all. 1 out of 2. Only shoots 46% on the year.
It's a 6th tie of this game so far. The Terps trying to stay in it and with it.
Len right now being guarded by McAdoo, and he's got a height advantage in that matchup. Now they spread the court.
Once again, trying to take advantage of the quickness of their guards off the bounce.
And Keyshawn Howard, who was only a 21% long-range shooter, buries a 3. He had missed 2 earlier. Henson. Got it.
Boy, the length of John Henson as he took it behind the basket, but powered up and able to come back in front of the basket and get that one on the backboard.
First field goal for Henson. And they stepped on the sideline. Only the 3rd turnover from Maryland in this half.
And it's obviously one of those that they wish they had back. Unforced turnover. That's a mental mistake when you step on the sideline. You got to know where you are.
Haven't changed the dimensions of the court in a while. Harrison Barnes. That was touched on the rim. Looked like Weiss touched that on the rim, and now the officials are going to confer. We'll check out the call when we come back. Interesting developments during the timeout. It's a 1-point game. It was not goaltending. Maryland got within an inch of touching that ball on the rim, but the player pulled his hand back. The whistle blew. That's an inadvertent whistle, so they go to the possession arrow, and it's Maryland basketball. The Terps would have ended up with it anyway, and it turns out to be an exceptional call by this officiating crew.
Yeah, you give them a great deal of credit. The reason why it was inadvertent is because once it was blown, they consulted. They determined that it wasn't touched.
That loose ball is tipped out to Stogler, and he buries one. And it's 35-31 Maryland. Some first half for the Terps. Barnes. Len couldn't recover it, but tipped it outside, and another loose ball recovery for Maryland, and a bad pass by Faust.
Yeah,
had a
Faust
3-on-2 and tried to make a tough play again.
And he missed the open guy to his right. Scrapping again, and Maryland comes up with it almost.
Look at this. They are just busting it against the heels today.
Yeah, Carolina cannot put it on the floor without Maryland going down and going after it. Now, we talk about the Carolina depth, and they do run a lot of guys at you. But if you're looking at numbers that support that depth, Maryland's got the advantage. Their bench is outscoring Carolina's bench 14-2.
The Heels may have the numbers, but they have not contributed as much today as they normally do. But one of the hallmarks of a Roy Williams team is we'll play 10 guys, and when it gets down to the last 5 minutes of the game, our 10 guys are fresher than yours.
But again, you talk about having the numbers. It all goes to show you can torture numbers to say whatever you want them to say. And right now, if you're looking at a comparison, Maryland's bench right now has demonstrated the depth as far as contribution.
Not sure why this delay. Have 3:01 to go in the half, 27 on the shot clock. They're not going to make any adjustment to that. This is Marshall to Zeller. Zeller with a tip. Henson keeps it alive. He missed, but he's fouled. That's what North Carolina normally does. They just abuse you on the backboards. They are the best rebounding team in the country.
That's right. They've got a plus 12 rebound margin. And when Zeller and Henson go up and extend, it's like playing volleyball up there between themselves.
Last foul was on Padgett, his first. Henson with a miss. He'll get another. Another miss. And it's out of bounds to North Carolina. Henson just struggles mightily at the free throw line. It's an epidemic with big guys. Marshall, nice dig. Always has his head up, always has his eyes open, looking for a teammate. He's got 8 assists, but a lot of turnovers in this game, uncharacteristically.
Yeah, trying to throw cross-court passes, ill-advised passes, but when you talk about recognizing the secondary defender and finding the open man, there's not a better player in the country than Kendall Marshall.
Absolutely. Stoglin having a tough time against Bullock. What a crossover there. And a rainbow! Holy cow! What a shot! But this kid can put on a show. Harrison Barnes back the other way. Henson tries to keep it alive. Barnes got it. Now North Carolina winning the battle for those loose balls. Barnes. And this foul's going to go against the heels. Zeller picks up. No, it's going to be against Maryland. Oh, look at that crossover and the shot. He knows he can't go any deeper or he'll get it blocked. So he has a teardrop from about 6 feet. Going to call it last foul on Faust. That's his second. And Zeller just got that beautiful touch. Rolls it over the front of the rim. Faust is going to have to sit down. And Parker will come back in.
But the thing that just catches your eye with Stoglin, the multiple crossovers that get him open.
Pretty to watch, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
37-35, Maryland with 1:45 to go in the half. Stoglin says, give me the ball. Cuts through the double team. Len kept it alive again, and Padgett gets the rebound. He's fouled by Zeller. I got to tell you, the numbers on Alex Len are not going to be real good. He hasn't had a lot of points, hasn't had a lot of rebounds, hasn't had a lot of blocks, but he has altered a half a dozen shots and kept a half a dozen plays alive.
And again, that's why we talk about numbers many times on the stat sheet don't reflect contribution.
Padgett, short. Len's going to get a nice hand when he comes out, and he deserves it.
He's battled now. It doesn't seem to be nervous in this game.
No, not at all. 6 points, 2 rebounds, and a bunch of hustle plays. 38-35. The Terps have gone head-to-head with one of the best teams in the country and played them even. Bullock into the lane. McAdoo, offensive rebound, and out to Marshall. Henson, a little fadeaway, nice shot.
And he put it where no one, I mean no one could get it. Full extension. And as you said, a little bit of a fadeaway. All you can do is watch that. You can contest it by putting your hands in his face, but you're not going up and touching that ball.
5 for Henson. 51 seconds to go in the half. Maryland on top by 1, and Alex Len has been a difference maker, Len.
He certainly has. He's been lending a hand in many instances, getting his hands up and challenging shots, getting his hands on balls, keeping it alive. just doing an excellent job of making his presence felt. And his teammates haven't let him down because they've been right there. As again, scrapping, going after the 50-50 balls, making them theirs.
You didn't say lending a hand, did you? Did you really say that?
Of course I did.
Ooh. 15 on the shot clock, a 20-second difference with the game clock.
You remembered it, didn't you?
Yes, I did. I may never forget it. Stoglin. Follow won't go. Would have been spectacular by Parker, who plays above the rim. There's the travel on Bullock after Marshall almost walked, and a lot of turnovers for North Carolina in the first half. That's 8 of them.
You talk about a tough place to play. Boy, if Parker had made that, this house would have caved in.
Yes, it would have.
From the noise. And again, tough place to play, particularly on the visitor's side. Take a look at that wall of sound, as I call it, where the student section seems to go straight up, and it's almost like they're over your backs if you're the opposing team.
Padgett, Alex Lynn with a follow. How appropriate. He has made all the difference in the world coming off the bench, and it's only fitting that he gets the last bucket of the half. 8 for Len, and a 3-point Maryland lead at the half. Welcome back to ESPN College Basketball, the Saturday Showcase presented by 5 Hour Energy. It's the ACC on ESPN, and this afternoon we're at Maryland, where the Terps are shocking North Carolina at the half, 40-37. You called this a possible sandwich game before this started. It's turning out that way, isn't it?
Yeah, well, we talked about the anatomy of a trap game. Played on the road against a team that shouldn't have a chance against you on paper. But the Maryland game plan is working. They're scrapping and out-hustling Carolina, which they need to because they're at a talent deficit. Then you turn it over to your guards and let your magicians pull rabbits out of hats, as Stoglin did there. And then you got the X factor. Alex Lynn has emerged as a guy who's really been a thorn in the side of Carolina on both ends of the floor.
He's 7'1", 225 out of the Ukraine. He missed the first 10 games because of eligibility issues with his junior team over there. But he is certainly having an impact in this one.
And again, to revisit what we talked about in the one-on-one, Carolina, the best in the country at playing defense without fouling. But Maryland's got 14 free throw attempts, and you look at the percentage of their points from the line, about 26% on average during the season, 28% in this game.
Zeller lost it on the way up and missed the shot. Stoglin on the run. He is spectacular in the open court. 11 points for the ACC's leading scorer. Henson backing in on Padgett.
Nice look.
How did he get that pass through? But it was knocked out of bounds off of Maryland. 4 or 5 times the Terps have tried for the spectacular pass instead of just keeping it going and making something out of the end of the play. Mosley with a steal. Marshall is back. Mosley in the lane, fouled by Marshall.
And I tell you again, the Terps game plan of utilizing their guards against Carolina guards, and it's really paid off. And Kendall Marshall just having a world of problems right now. That's his 6th turnover. And that's not normally what you would expect from a guy that leads the conference in assist-turnover ratio.
And he is 2nd in the country in that department. A little bit better than 3 assists for every turnover, but not today. That last pass, very lazy.
He's got 9 assists, but 6 turnovers. And that's so uncharacteristic of Kendall Marshall. He looks as though he's playing tentative right now. And I think the scrappiness of Maryland's guards have gotten into his head.
Biggest lead of the game for the Terps. Zeller, that's a nice feed by Marshall. And how quick is Zeller off the floor when that ball hits his hands?
And that was terrific execution by Carolina. Exchanging sides with the ball and finding Zeller coming off a screen down low.
16 points for the senior. Mosley. Got it. Terps are making all the plays right now.
And you can see their confidence is just continuing to rise.
They have beaten Carolina 3 straight times here at the Comcast Center. Can they make it 4?
Look at the scrap again.
It's a jump ball, and the possession arrow gives it to the Terps.
And let me give Sean Mosey some credit, because that's one of those plays where just about every guy in the nation would have called timeout. But when you know that the arrow's pointing in your direction, just hold on to it.
Great point. Mark Turgeon coaching against his mentor, Roy Williams. You love to beat your friends more than anybody else. He would really enjoy this one.
And Harrison Barnes, we talked about him being gimpy on that left knee. And it looks like he kind of tweaked it a little bit.
He did.
Roy Williams wants to get him out of there.
He is coming off very gingerly at this point. That'll get P.J. Hairston back in the ball game. Stoglin launches. Bullock, baseline drive, missed the shot, the rebound to Pankey. Ahead to Stoglin. Double clutch, and he's fouled.
And that's how you take it to a shot blocker. You almost have to jump into their armpit and use your body to protect the ball, make contact, and still have a chance to get it up on the rim. Well, you take a look. From year to year, Terrell Stoglin has kind of made the leap. And again, under Gary Williams, tried to harness that talent. And here, under Mark Turgeon has unleashed the talent.
And he has produced, averaging 21.8 points a game, not only #1 in the ACC, but 4th in the country in scoring. 13 points this afternoon, and he's the kind of guy who can carry a team on his back. Terps up by 9. Zeller. Block. And travel.
Right now, Carolina looks over-anxious. You know, they realize that they're in a dogfight. And instead of, jabbing a little bit, taking their time and trying to read Maryland, they're looking for the knockout punch.
Mosley, that was probably too quick. Marshall back the other way. 16:50 to go in this ball game. The Terps trying to pull a huge upset against North Carolina. Zeller fighting inside, got the ball, scores, and draws the foul on Pankey. That's 3 on the 6'9" forward.
And Pankey arguing he didn't touch him, but the problem is allowing Zeller to get too deep. Look at him. Point-blank range, backing in. And then he tries to use his body to take the position away, but it's too late. You got to do your homework early against a superior player like Tyler Zeller. You can't allow him to get position like that.
Zeller at the line. He'll try for the three-point play. Can cut the lead to 6 if he makes it. rimmed out. The rebound to Alex Len.
And there was enough of a distraction under that basket right there. As you took a look at that, as I say, the wall of sound. It became a wall of signs, too.
Faust, not shy, missed again. Marshall, boy, he's quick, but he missed. Zeller got it back and bumped by Len. Not much contact, but a foul. It's the third team foul of the second half.
Maryland obviously looking to double team Zeller down on the block, but once again the reach is what gets them in trouble. They get guys in position, they do their jobs until they reach.
And Faust just committed his third. So he's going to have to come out. Padgett will sit down as well. Michael Parker will come back in.
And if I'm the Tar Heels, you got to have confidence in the fact that you've got depth, you've got the advantage down low. You know, there is no 7-point play. You got an opportunity to whittle this lead down.
Zeller pushed off to get position, called for the offensive foul. That's 3 on Zeller, and Roy Williams can't believe it. Looking up at the Jumbotron, trying to get a replay.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a tough call on Tyler Zeller.
Rather see a play on at that point. And there have been about 3 of these in the second half that have been really touchy fouls. I mean, you big guys are used to getting hit more than that. And here's an offensive foul on Len, setting a moving screen. That's 3 on him.
And Mark Turgeon very close to asking him, was that a makeup call?
Timeout with 15:40 to go. The lead is 7 at College Park. Maryland with a 7-point lead as we get the look from Len Elmore's wall of sound. Let's take you inside the standings. And this is why this game is huge. North Carolina facing a matchup with Duke on Wednesday. They do not want to drop their second game and fall into 4th place or 3rd place in the Atlantic Coast Conference, trying to stay in that one-loss group with FSU and the Blue Devils.
And that really points up the sweet irony and the contradictory nature of this up and down competitive ACC. You got a Florida State team, as you see Marshall bury that shot. Florida State team that's ranked 24th. You got Carolina and Duke ranked in the top 10. Those 2 teams could be vying for a #1 seed overall in the NCAA tournament. Florida State ranked 24. Carolina and Duke in the top 10. Yet Florida State has the tiebreaker over both of those teams thus far.
Would be interesting, wouldn't it? Mosley is bumped as he tries to drive.
As I said, sweet irony and contradiction. Partly truth, partly fiction.
Foul was on Henson, 2 on the 6'11 junior. Non-shooting foul. Maryland will inbound. And having a tough time getting an inbound, so they call a timeout. Mark Turgeon with a 4-point lead with his Terps against his mentor, Roy Williams. This is Peanut Butter Cups at a special time, 3 o'clock Eastern on ESPNU, ESPN3, also streaming live on Watch ESPN and the Watch ESPN app. So far, the ACC building in the rankings. They now have 4 teams in the top 25, as Florida State has entered at number 24.
And for a lot of people who say the ACC is down, don't count them out. When you see the competitive nature of the league on an intra basis and certainly externally, 4 teams in the top 25.
Len against Henson. Weiss with a rebound, had it knocked away as he put it up, and Marshall clears. Weiss has a rebound, and he is fouled, and that... Oh, no.
They called Weiss for reaching around the back and holding.
Thought it was on McAdoo, and I think McAdoo thought it was, too.
Here's where fundamentals come into play. Weiss in great position to block out, but you can't reach around and hold the guy.
So the Heels will inbound. Marshall got caught up in the air. Mosley on the run. Kicks it back to Stogler. Bullock gives it up to Marshall. Zeller not in there now, so they'll look to Henson and Barnes. And Len with another block. Henson is not used to that.
No, he's used to being on the other end.
Exactly.
He's used to being the hammer and not the nail.
14:04 to go in the game. The Terps have blocked 6 shots in this game. Keep an eye on Barnes because he may have tweaked his knee again earlier in this half. Len with a run.
Oh, nice.
How about that? Double figures for Alex Len. Marshall, beautiful drive down the left of the lane.
Yeah, Kendall Marshall certainly has to assert himself right now. As Maryland playing him relatively loosely. But Alex Len on the other end.
Been something to watch. Maryland nearly threw it away. Now they'll reset with 16 on the shot clock. Stogler. Sometimes they end up just watching him. And Stogler turns around and throws it away. Just lost his focus.
Take a look at Len right here. Doesn't bite on the pump fake. And here on the sky hook.
Alex Len. And beyond those numbers, he has altered a number of shots, kept a lot of balls alive. He has been an enormous factor in this game. Zeller is back in, got it to Marshall. Now Barnes with a foul. Mosley fouled him from behind. That's 3 on Mosley.
And I'll tell you what, good job by Mark Turgeon to get Terrell Stogler out of the game and get him some rest. Because that ball he threw away, he threw it to the guys coming in, checking in. Take a look here defensively. Len gets his hand on it, keeps it alive. But Harrison Barnes is the guy that comes up with it. But going back to the turnover by Stogler, guys were running in to check into the scorer's table, and Stogler was so fatigued, he threw it to them thinking that they were on the court. And that, to me, is a certain sign of fatigue. Mark Turgeon recognized it and got him out.
Barnes knocks down a couple of free throws. Maryland is led by as many as 9, but the lead now cut to 2.
And again, Carolina very methodical right now.
Moving screen, Pishon Howard. That'll be 3 on him, and the Terps starting to dig themselves a hole with foul trouble. Quick rest for Stogler, and he's right back in. Howard will come out.
And as I mentioned in the first half, you know, even though the numbers point to Maryland's success with their bench outscoring Carolina 16-2, the sheer numbers that Carolina puts in the game will ultimately overwhelm Maryland.
McAdoo. That's goaltending.
That's too easy.
It's very rare that the second guy in line to the shot is not going to goaltend when he blocks it.
On a shot like that particularly.
We are tied at 50. North Carolina trying to take the air out of this crowd. There's a nice shot by Padgett. And Maryland goes back on top. That ball hit the side of the basket support by Hairston. Stogler on the run the other way. Zeller running the court and he's fouled.
Well, that's where Carolina gets you. In transition, you score, they're coming right back at you. And we talked about the ability of Tyler Zeller running inline to inline. He may get tired, but he never shows it, and he never stops hustling.
And when he goes to the line, he's money in the bank. And now 4 fouls on Mosley. They'll have to get him out. And Parker comes back in.
And that's a perfect illustration of how you wear down an opponent, particularly their front line. Once again, the wall of sound and the wall of signs. But if you're shooting a free throw as a player, you don't even see that stuff. Your focus is on that rim.
Now Zeller is focusing on the wall of concentration in his own mind, and he's cut the lead back to 2. Now Len trying to go one-on-one, fouled by Zeller. That's 4 on Tyler Zeller, and he's saying, hey, I got elbowed on the way in there. Roy Williams trying to encourage his team, and Mark Turgeon pulling for the upset.
Guys.
Stoglin with a hanger draws the foul. That'll be 3 on Hairston. A lot of people getting in foul trouble on both sides now. They're the, well, we'll call them the Turgeonites. Dressed like the head coach, a little gray in the hair.
Yeah, he's quickly developing a following, and if his team, oftentimes undersized, maybe at a deficit in talent versus the top teams in the ACC, he's starting to get them to believe. And in replacing this man right here, that's no small job.
Gary Williams did an exceptional job here, including a national championship in 2002. Stoglin rims out on a second. Alex Len with another rebound. That's 5 for him. He also has 10 points. 3 blocked shots. You name it, he's done it. Faust down the lane. Maryland is not going to go away.
And speaking of blocked shots, Carolina leads the conference in shots blocked. And Maryland has only had 1 block today, and they continue to take it to Carolina. Although Harrison Barnes right there starting to emerge. He needs to do that on a more consistent basis. We've seen flashes, but we haven't seen the consistency that we know is Harrison Barnes.
Big shot for him. He has 11 points. The lead's back to 3. This is Parker. Parker starts down the lane. Contact, no whistle with a miss. Alex Len trying to keep it alive again. He and Henson on the floor. And now we've got a jump possession arrow to the heels. Well, I tell you what, they have not dogged it once today.
And once again, we talked about scrapping. That is the essential ingredient in Maryland's attempt to upset Carolina right now. You got to get on the floor. You got to go after the balls that are loose balls. And Maryland hasn't disappointed.
Marshall with 12 assists, but 8 turnovers in this game. Highly unusual for him. Travel. And another mistake by the Tar Heels of North Carolina, their 13th turnover in this ballgame.
And we talk about Mark Turgeon making believers out of the fans and most importantly his players. It's been a learning process. When they played Duke here a couple of games ago, January 25th, they were pretty representative, only down 3 at half before they wilted to Duke's superior talent. Here it doesn't seem to be wilting yet.
Marshall on the run, always looking for a teammate, and found Henson for the jam. It's a 1-point game.
Take a look at Kendall Marshall.
Calling the big guy.
That's what makes him terrific right there. His ability to draw and then dish. And he gives it to the big guys where they can use it.
13 assists for Marshall. That's within 2 of his career high. And they throw this one away. Henson. Lamb got back, and Lamb commits the foul. That will be 4 on the freshman center.
But if you're going to foul somebody, John Henson is the guy to do it. Just 46% from the line. Easy basket. You go after it. Hope that you don't get the call. Wow, missed him.
Missed him completely. That's a tough call. And Henson just has a brutal time at the free throw line. He is 1 out of 5 in this game, only 46% coming in.
And that's the guy you have to make earn it. And Alex Len did the right thing and did not foul.
Henson can tie it. But held to 7 points in this game. Missed them both. Mark Turgeon calling out instructions to his ball club. Every possession becomes huge now. And North Carolina getting more and more aggressive defensively. Paget. Shot clock down to 10. Another steal. Marshall. Henson recovers. Maryland getting a little sloppy, and Harrison Barnes with his second straight three gives North Carolina the lead for the first time in 20 minutes. Offensive rebound on the miss, to follow by Pankey. He can't get it down. And the momentum swinging to the Tar Heels. Barnes again.
I tell you what, on the last possession, it looked like Stoglin ran through a stop sign as Mark Turgeon was going to call timeout. This time, Keyshawn Howard adheres to the order.
This is a big moment in this game because North Carolina has fought back from down 9 to take the lead. And remember, this is such a young Maryland team. How are they going to respond to the adversity they face now?
Well, that's the question of the day. We talked about what they learned against Duke, where they got just worn down. Here they've got to play judiciously because Harrison Barnes is finding the range right now. The 7-0 run by Carolina to take this lead. And we knew eventually it was going to happen, as I said. The sheer numbers, even though Maryland's bench has outscored Carolina's, just the sheer numbers of guys that are wearing Maryland down, it would ultimately catch up to them.
And not just bodies, good players, really good players. And Zeller's been able to sit on the bench with those 4 fouls. Well, certainly the 17,950 sellout crowd has been entertained in this one. And it has been a spectacular effort by the Terps. Stoglin. Offensive rebound, Paget. And he's fouled. That's 3 on Marshall. Should this game go to overtime, the foul situation is going to get interesting for both teams. And now they're going to get Marshall out, and back comes Stillman White as Roy Williams is going to make sure he protects his starting point guard.
And here's an opportunity. I wonder if Maryland shows a little pressure right now. You know, what you do
because of White?
Because White being in the game, Marshall with 4 fouls. The risk is that they beat the pressure and attack you and have an advantage break, and Carolina's pretty good in advantage break situations.
Paget only a 58.9% free throw shooter, but looked good on that one. 6 points, 3 boards today. That one rims out.
Well,
Heels by 1.
You can't apply pressure without a make. And you see Harrison Barnes bringing the ball up.
He is a very capable ball handler. Boy, Henson had position down low. They missed him. Hairston, nice drive. Follow. Outstanding offensive rebound. Bullock was right there.
And Bullock made that layup. The backboard was still shaking.
Bullock with 9. Stoglin low to Paget. Really forced that, but got it back and put it in. Paget, a very powerful inside player. Henson goes by it.
Oh, that's a nice move by John Henson. Not normally known for putting it on the deck.
Well, you wonder why Padgett comes out and tries to get in his grill at 18 feet. He's not going to shoot from there. The lead is 3. Harrison Barnes picks up a foul, his second. 7:19 left. All right, Jonathan, thanks very much. And some of the Tar Heel fans who were able to secure tickets today enjoying this comeback as North Carolina has gone up by 3 with 7:19 left in the game. And Alex Len has checked back in for Maryland, probably at the 7:19 mark. That's the time when Mark Turgeon says, I can't let this go any further.
Yeah, and you talk about those Carolina fans. That didn't look like looks of enjoyment right there.
No.
Relief, maybe.
Loose ball out to Maryland. Crowd wanted a foul, but both guys were going for a loose ball. Tonight at 9 Eastern, ESPN with a Big 12 showdown. 2 of the best teams in the country, Kansas and Missouri. Our coverage begins at 8 with College Game Day, covered by State Farm. That's tonight, 8 Eastern on ESPN.
Yeah, right now, Maryland, in trying to regain the lead, has got to find ways that they can kind of give a blow to their key guys.
Len, another offensive rebound. Henson with a block. Big play defensively by Henson.
But when you talk about their key guys, you can't take them off the floor.
Henson squares up and got it. Tough shot by John Henson. He now has 11 points, and it's a 5-point bulge.
Yeah, that was a terrific shot by Henson, but Len never got his hands up to contest it. And again, Maryland's showing those little telltale signs now of fatigue.
13-3 run. Len against Henson. Henson flopped a little bit, and Len took advantage of it.
Yeah, you can't afford that now down the stretch. No acting, no flopping.
Yep. 12 points, 6 boards. Barnes. And a flush by Henson. Yeah, that ball was in the cylinder.
Basket interference.
Roy Williams trying to get one of the officials' attention. Yeah,
well, clearly in the cylinder. That was an easy call.
So now the lead is 3.
Not only was an easy call, the right official made it, the one from the outside.
Exactly.
That's the best perspective.
Howard pull-up jumper. Len swats at it, but Henson clears.
And now the jumpers are starting to fall a little short.
And that's being tired, isn't it?
Yep, it goes with your legs.
Henson too strong. Barnes is there. He missed, but Bullock follows.
And also now the waves of Carolina rebounders are starting to get position and starting to connect as Maryland failing to block out.
Well, the only big guy they've got in there is Len.
Well, that's why it's so important for the other 4 guys to block out.
Faust lost it on the way up. Can't make those mistakes. Marshall, nice pass into the corner for 3. That rims out. Here comes Mosley. 1-on-3. Kicks it back to Howard. In and out. Out of bounds to Maryland with 4:51 to go.
Boy, it was either Harrison Barnes or Bullock that got away with an over the back. And rightly so, one of the officials cautioned one of the folks sitting on the sidelines here to keep it shut. As people are starting to get a little bit out of control right now, even the fans.
Mosley, what a reverse. Three-point game. Mosley now in double digits with 11. Marshall to Henson. Under control. He lost the ball on the way up, but didn't panic, got it back and put it in.
And again, methodically, Carolina building the lead as Kendall Marshall really starting to take over. 14 assists now. He's the floor general. He's keeping people's hands full.
Howard for 3. Big shot.
Just when you think Carolina's going to run away and hide.
Len with a block from behind. Let's see who gets the call. It may be on Faust, who got him with the body before Len got the block. That's 4 on Faust. Everybody in foul trouble in a 2-point game. Jonathan, this has been fun. Let's take a look at the Maryland game plan, and whatever game plan Mark Turgeon came up with, it's been working.
Yeah, when you factor in the difference in talent, you know, the Carolina's got an All-American front line, but Maryland has been able to out-hustle them. The guard play, we talked about Maryland taking advantage, exploiting their guards' ability, and then the X factor, Alex Len, that no one could really account for, has really made a difference in this game to keep it at least 3 and possibly a 4-point difference right now.
Harrison Barnes, one of 4 Tar Heels in double figures. He has 14, missed the second, however.
But make no mistake about it, Carolina's front line has really started to dominate right now. They've got 46 of Carolina's 70 points.
Maryland spreading the court. Len is the only big guy in there. This is Stoglin. Nice cut, goes into the lane and got it. Somehow he gets in among the trees and still scores. 18 points for the ACC's leading scorer. And Zeller set a screen outside, and Pishon Howard is still there. Len kept it alive, but it's tipped in. Pishon Howard just got blasted on a screen.
We take a look right here. There's a screen. Len has got to step up and got to communicate. When this is all said and done, Bum Pishon Howard, I have a long talk with Alex Len. Can't leave me out there naked. You got to call those screens so I know what's upcoming. And on the offensive rebound, Nick Faust cannot fall asleep. The ball goes up on the board, and the guards are standing and watching. Take a look here. Len has got to step up and scream. Screen right, screen right.
I'm not the only one that thinks that.
And he's still feeling the effects of it.
Still trying to clear those cobwebs out of there.
That is no fun.
(72-69), under 3 minutes to go. Faust lost it on the way in. He has really made some plays where it looks like he's made up his mind before he gets the ball that if he does, he's going to shoot it.
Yeah, that's been the problem right now. And on the other end, he's forgetting fundamentals. Nice block.
Len with another block. Henson with a follow. Zeller tips. No. And now North Carolina is starting to rebound the way you expect North Carolina to rebound. They have the biggest rebound margin in the nation.
Well, they're the biggest team, the tallest team in the nation. And Alex Len pretty much relegated to stand there and play above the rim by himself.
Getting a little chippy now, and the officials talking to Bullock and Stoglin.
Well, you know Stoglin's not backing down. He's giving up about 4 inches.
Bullock gets the inbound. 2:29 and counting. Barnes. In and out. That was halfway down. And Zeller kept it alive that time. Carolina ball.
And once again, it's Alex Len and nobody else. These guards and James Padgett have to get back in there and start helping.
Marshall. Henson. And that's goaltending. Well, Alex Len is playing 3 against 1 right now. And that's 15 assists for Marshall. That ties a career high.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Nice jump hook by John Henson. And it was on the way down, and Len touched it.
That's going to be a foul on Henson. He didn't like it. Been a lot of guys protesting calls today.
Well, actually, he he congratulated Fisher for catching him, because after he deflected it, he held Padgett, and he got caught. It was almost like that smile on his face, caught in the cookie with your hand in the cookie jar, and he pointed to the official and shook his head. You got me.
Padgett at the line. Huge free throws here. 1-1. Got the roll. Nice touch by James Padgett.
And you're seeing a free throw shooter that's confident with his touch, because he's just throwing it up there, just hoping it gets on the rim. And as you say, the backspin will do the rest.
Doesn't get the roll on this one. 74-70. 2-possession game. Bullock missed a shot, will land with another rebound. What a spectacular day he has had. Stoglin, they could really use a 3 out of him. He's got Henson on him, though. Now over Marshall. And the rebound to Marshall. That was a huge shot. Would have cut it to 1. Instead, it's still a 2-possession game, and Carolina will milk some of the clock. Roy Williams says, let's talk about this. With 17 on the shot clock, 1:17 on the game clock, and a 4-point Tar Heel lead. Come on. Coming up next on ESPN, catch Terrence Jones and #1 ranked Kentucky against South Carolina. Southeastern Conference basketball coming up next on ESPN. But we may not be done here with 1:17 to go.
And you and I were remarking during the timeout, I know Roy wanted to call a play, make sure his guys are all on the same page by calling that timeout. But that might have helped Maryland more than Carolina, because it gave them a chance to rest their legs.
You can tell last couple possessions, at least 2 or 3 players are gassed right now. 15 on the shot clock. Can Marshall make another passing assist for a career high and an easy bucket? Barnes, that's a tough jump shot, and he made it. Harrison Barnes with a big basket. Jonathan Coachman has more from the studio. Jonathan.
All right, Mike, thank you so much. Some scores from around the nation right now. A tough one, Creighton. They're getting all they can handle from Northern Iowa on the road. Louisville looks like they'll win at home by 10. Virginia Tech, that one tight. And Wyoming, they have beaten number 13 UNLV by 2 at home. Road test Saturday. Taking some victims. Will Kentucky be one of those? Coach Cal, they won 14 in a row, the longest winning streak under him. His team on the road to South Carolina in just about 8 minutes, guys.
All right, it is a 2-possession game here. And the big 3 for North Carolina starting to pile up the points, Len.
Well, again, and you got the horses. A number of options does Roy Williams have, but he goes to Harrison Barnes with a significant size advantage over his defender. And when you talk about the 1 dribble, 2 dribble pull up and a jump shot, Barnes has got that down. He's perfected.
Barnes has 16, Henson 15, Zeller the leading scorer for the Heels. He has 20. They could really use a basket from Stoglin. 15-foot pull-up jump shot short. Henson with a rebound, or Zeller with a rebound. Maryland got it and then lost it. Stoglin snuck in behind, made the steal, but now the Terps have to foul.
And you notice over the last couple of minutes, everything that fell for Maryland for 3/4 of that game, they started to miss, and a lot of it had to do with fatigue. You know, you're scrapping, you're diving on the floor.
Yep.
You know, you're playing maybe above and beyond your capabilities. Ultimately, it catches up to you.
Well, it's been part of the North Carolina philosophy forever that we'll win the last 4 minutes because our depth will make everybody fresher. And it's worked for Roy Williams throughout his career. And Marshall at the line.
No better illustration than today, as Carolina became more methodical in the second half. In these last 6-8 minutes, you know, they obviously went to their strengths, and those guys were fresh.
Marshall, 9 points, 15 assists. The Terps need threes. Faust had it taken away, and a foul.
Well, one thing Nick Faust has to learn, cannot do it by himself. and you can't make up your mind you're going to do it by yourself. He has struggled down the stretch here, especially when his team has needed him.
Needs these free throws. He's only shot 56% on the year from the stripe. And Maryland reduced now to having to foul after every basket. Faust with 10 points. He's hit 4 out of 5 from the line. Now make it 5 out of 6.
Returning for Alex Len, number 30, Aston Hagee.
Boy, that looked like a pretty good steal. Faust reached in, knocked it away. He's going to be called for the foul, and Nick Faust is fouled out of the ballgame.
Well, one interesting point, you see Maryland try to apply pressure. They really haven't applied pressure much, if at all, throughout this game. When you look at their numbers, when's the last time you saw Maryland, University of Maryland, 12th in steals?
Never.
I tell you, man, that really surprised me. This is a team right now, Mark Turgeon not willing to cut them loose on the pressure the way Gary Williams used to apply pressure. But it's a learning process for his team. And as we talked about it, these guys don't have any reason to hang their heads. They gave it the best shot, totally outmanned, but they gave the effort that these fans certainly deserve and they deserve.
Another great day for Zeller. And this kid gives you everything he possibly can every game. 21 points. He's just so smart and plays so hard.
Yeah, there's no substitute for talent, though. I'll tell you that right now. And Carolina has it without question. This was a tough game. They may not have come here with their heads in it. Obviously, we talked about this being the anatomy of a trap game on the road against a team that shouldn't be in the same gym with you. And they struggled, but when push came to shove, you can see why they're ranked where they are in the top 10.
Stoglin out of the corner for 3. He missed it, and Mosley commits a foul, and Mosley is fouled out of the ballgame. So that's 2 Terps who have been called for their 5th fouls. North Carolina was down by 9 in this ballgame, and to their credit, it's never easy to win anywhere on the road in the ACC. To their credit, they fought back, and they win it.
Well, at least from the Tar Heel perspective, this sets up the game of the year.
Yes, it does.
Thus far.
Well, the first game of the year.
The first game of the year, yeah, true. At least in the ACC. Now, obviously, Duke has to do their part with Miami, and that's not nearly the anatomy of a trap game since that game is being played in Cameron.
Barnes hits them both. North Carolina is going to win its 20th game in 23 tries. Just another exceptional year for Roy Williams. And this is the 54th time in 102 years that they have won 20 games. That is such a remarkable statistic. Henson with a big jam. And that shot is greeted by a lot of boos from this Maryland crowd. 83-74. Henson sending a message with this one as the clock ran out.
Well, I'll tell you what, you can demonstrate all you want, but you were in a dogfight, Carolina.
North Carolina goes back in a flat-footed tie with Florida State at 7-1. Duke trying to join the party tomorrow. Marshall with 16 assists, a career high. The final score, 83-74. For more on this game, turn to ESPN News for a post-game extra. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For Len Elmore, Mike Patrick, thanks for watching. Now we go to Brad Nessler in Columbia, South Carolina.